Donald Trump just suffered a disastrous trip on Air Force One, and it's for many more reasons than just one. It started, of course, with Donald Trump stumbling and screaming at CNN reporters. He then moved on to humiliating Melania and decided to cap it off with completely giving away the game on his corruption as it relates to Venezuela. It was a disaster that we are going to get into. Also, go 49ers. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, like I said, there was so much disaster happening on this terrible landing, but we got to start, unfortunately, where Donald Trump did, continuing to disgrace the name of a woman whose life he stole with what he said about Renee Good right here.
At a very minimum, that woman was very, very disrespectful to law enforcement. And you heard the same noises, you saw the same crunch that I saw. You can't do that with law enforcement, whether it's police or ICE or Border Patrol or anybody else.
When it comes to ICE officials, though,
Our law enforcement.
Sir, do you believe that deadly force was necessary after watching all the footage a few days have passed? What's your assessment there?
It was highly disrespectful of law enforcement. The woman and her friend were highly disrespectful of law enforcement. You saw that. They were harassing, they were following for days and for hours. And I think, frankly, they're professional agitators.
But just disrespect.
And I'd like to find out, and we are going to find out who's paying for it.
But just
with their brand new signs and all the different things. But these are professional agitators, and law enforcement should not be in a position where they have to put up with this stuff. What that woman and what her friend and what their other friends were doing to law enforcement, not just ICE, law enforcement is outrageous.
I know Donald Trump doesn't read, but for someone who consumes as much Fox as he does, I'm surprised he hasn't actually seen the clip. And honestly, I'm sure he has. And it continues to baffle me that right-wingers see a woman sitting in her car in her community trying to drive away from ICE thugs, literally recording and harassing her. Not monitoring the community, not keeping anyone safe, but going up to her face and shoving their camera into her car, trying to get away, and somehow it's her fault? It doesn't make any sense. By ICE's own protocol, not like they feel obligated to follow the law, what that officer, what that thug, whose name I don't even want to say, I just can't, it just disgusts me, he broke the law. And of course, Donald Trump doesn't want to see it that way. Donald Trump wants to shape the narrative in whatever way allows him to distract us from the Epstein files or sully the name of a woman who had her life stolen. But that is Donald Trump. He is very public with it in the same way that he was very public with his corruption when talking about Venezuela. He literally just gave away the whole game.
Companies make commitments to you, sir? Have any oil companies made commitments to the United States after your meeting on Friday, sir? Which has have Exxon?
I don't want to say. No, I didn't like Exxon's response. We have somebody that wanted. I'd probably be inclined to keep Exxon out. I didn't like their response. They're playing too cute.
It was one thing when Donald Trump forced CEOs to kiss his ass earlier this week. And then, of course, he went up and looked at his ballroom that doesn't exist. But we know Donald Trump forces the CEOs to kiss his ass and give him gifts and say he's the best boy and get him a Big Mac. But to explicitly say, yeah, if you're mean to me, if you don't show that much interest, if you don't spend on my crypto coin, you're cut out. What happened to this being about getting the oil, seizing the oil, and now you're cutting a company out? Not that I'm advocating for Exxon, that'd be insane, but Trump is really making it clear. It's not about the oil, it's just about control and power and expanding the authoritarian project. He literally posted that he's the president of Venezuela. So that tells you everything you need to know. But the insane statements didn't stop there. Trump, again, struggling through most of this, decided to attack CNN.
It's so strong. So, if they did that, it'll be met with a very, very powerful force.
I think Iran takes your threats seriously.
I think so. Don't you think so, CNN? Don't you think so? Wouldn't you say that they probably do at this point? After going through it for years with me, being hit, Soleimani, al-Baghdadi, the Iran nuclear threat wiped out, don't you think, and then you just had Venezuela, don't you think, she says, CNN, do you think they take your threat seriously? Wouldn't you say they do after all of the things we've done? What a stupid question.
You're a terrible reporter. A new line from Mr. Trump. Really mixing it up. Quite frankly, what a horrible reporter, and you're so terrible. What did you ask me a question? You wanted to know information. Well, I'm not going to do that. The most transparent administration in history deletes footage, and it hides the Epstein files, and it doesn't answer questions, just so you know. But speaking of things that Donald Trump wants to conceal, Melania is out with a new movie. If you have not been properly graced, unfortunately, watching football today or yesterday with a preview of the Melania movie, then you're in the same boat as Donald Trump. Because when asked about his wife's big project, Donald Trump said this.
Go ahead, with the beautiful red hair.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Coming up with the premiere of Melania, have you seen the movie yet? What are your thoughts on it?
I've seen pieces of it. It's incredible, I tell you. I think it's going to do, she did a book, and the book was a big #1 bestseller, and this is a movie, and it seems to captivating a lot of people's attention. It's very good. Because here we go again. Yeah, it's going to be doing the premiere at the Trump Kennedy Center. Yeah. It'll be very exciting. It's a very hard ticket, I can tell you. Everybody, Wayne Gretzky and his wife Janet, beautiful wife, great wife. They said last night, gee, I want to go to everybody wants tickets to the premiere. I think it's going to be great.
The Melania movie, I can't even believe I'm saying this. The Melania movie, that is where we're at with the corruption, was purchased for more than $30 million by Amazon, by the way, because that is a very small price to pay for Donald Trump allowing Jeff Bezos to run wild. Also, the Washington Post deciding to give up on journalism. It's a little mixed both. But is also directed by a guy who's in the Epstein files. So if that doesn't convince you to go see it and log it in Letterboxd, I don't know what does, right? We don't need to go see Marty Supreme. We're going to go see the Melania movie. Melania and her Epstein director, Chalamet. It's a difficult call. I don't know. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Timmy. Marty Supreme, Christmas Day, dream big. But seriously, this is just ridiculous. Donald Trump's like, no, of course I haven't seen it. Because of course he hasn't. He doesn't give a fuck. It's also kind of funny. It's a little funny that he doesn't care about Melania. It's a little funny. It's a little embarrassing. But the embarrassment didn't stop there. With Donald Trump talking about a woman who I think he does prefer to his wife, and I think she prefers to her husband, who's about the same age as Donald Trump. It's this comment that he made about Carolyn Levitt while experiencing a bit of turbulism.
When will you meet with Machado this week?
There's something to grab here because it's going to get rough, and I don't seem to be in a very. I think you did this to me. You put me in a position where there's absolutely nothing to grab.
Mr. President.
So I'm looking for something to grab, and it's not going to be Caroline.
Mr. President, oil companies make commitments to you, sir.
First of all, I said turbulism. What? Turbulence? Trump shaking around a little bit. He can't stand, but at least I can speak. Why would you say I don't want to grab onto Carolyn? Is there a dynamic? I'm not even gonna investigate it. Very gross. He's hit on her before. He's talked about the lips, which are filled with, like, I don't even know what it is at this point. I think they're coming up with new stuff to put in Carolyn Levitt's face. It's not organic. It does not occur in nature. What is packed into Carolyn Levitt's face? It's certainly not helping. I don't know how you become a cougar before 30. I guess she does have a kid. By the way, the child that Carolyn Levitt had, not that there's anything wrong with this. Plan your lifestyle as you'd like. I'm not a judger. I'm not judgmental. But Christian values Carolyn did have her baby before she was married to her 90-year-old husband, the guy with a ton of cash. So take that as you will with her lifestyle. I will also say, Carolyn, I don't think that you should be at work, right? If you want to honor Charlie Kirk, instead of putting up a statue of him in the Capitol, maybe Carolyn Levitt just takes a couple of days off, right? Don't you want to be a homemaker, right? Where's the sourdough bread, Carolyn? Where's the starter? Aren't you supposed to be at home? No? One old man harassing you is not enough? You need two with Donnie? Jeez. No, seriously, Carolyn, if you want to preach that all these girls, they have to stay home, they have to be homemakers, whatever the fuck that means, then how would you do it yourself? Please take some time off. We'd love to not hear from you. Just do not make Stephen Miller the interim press secretary. I do not want to see him in dresses, or at all. I don't want to see Stephen Miller. But of course, as all Trump diatribes and meltdowns go, it didn't stop there. He had to talk about Greenland some more, because that is what is in the greatest national security interest to our country. Guys, you're going to want to stick around. It did continue to get worse.
Taking your threat seriously is one area taking your threat, the New York Post.
New York Post treats me semi-fairly. So go ahead.
One group taking your threats very seriously is Greenland. Are you still thinking of military action there, or is there anything they can...
Where? Military?
Greenland. Is there anything they can offer you for a deal?
If we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will. And I'm not letting that happen. If we don't take Greenland, Russia or China will take Greenland. And I am not going to let that happen.
Is there any deal they can offer you? Either like...
Yeah, sure. I'd love to make a deal with them. It's easier. But one way or the other, we're going to have Greenland.
Are you okay if that compromises NATO? If NATO effectively ceases to exist?
I've done a great job. I'm the one that saved NATO. I'm the one that got him to pay 5% of GDP. Wait a minute. It was 2%, and they didn't pay. Now they're paying 5%. I'm the one that saved NATO. You wouldn't have NATO if I weren't president.
Would you pull the U.S. out of NATO? Would you consider doing that?
Well, maybe NATO would be upset if I did it. Maybe NATO 2%, and they didn't pay. Now they're paying 5%. I'm the one that saved NATO. You wouldn't have NATO if I weren't president.
Would you pull the U.S. out of NATO? Would you consider doing that?
Well, maybe NATO would be upset if I did it. Maybe NATO would save a lot of money. But I like NATO. I just wonder whether or not if we needed NATO, would they be there for us? I'm not sure they would. We spend a lot of money on NATO, and I'm not sure they would.
But what would you...
We're invading Greenland. We're abandoning and attacking NATO. Epstein. I'm just going to continue to say the word because it's the one thing he doesn't want us to say. Epstein. Epstein, 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 Epstein. He doesn't want you to hear it. He doesn't want me to say it, but that is what this is about. And we're going to continue to talk about it on this show. And if you are from Philadelphia, the greater Pennsylvania area, and you are not in Pittsburgh, or you live in Jersey, spare me this. What a big win for the boys, okay? Niner Nation, what a night. I'm so pleased. At least I had that. It's been a long week. Brock Purdy, you are a stud. Okay, Nick Sirianni, coach of the Eagles, went to the White House, met with Trump. What does it get you? A playoff exit. Fuck yeah. Boom. Stand up. Okay, that's that. If you want to support the disaster that is this show, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, I don't know how you did. God bless your soul. Drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.